Tonight, we'll talk about why do so many young adults leave the church. Today we live in a society that church attendance for those under the age of 25 is seen to be on the decline. When I went to school in the early 1960s, 1970s, graduated from high school in 1974, except for the Pledge of Allegiance, God was not spoken of or really taught, but at least the school systems weren't hostile towards him. That statement is not necessarily true today. God is not only banned from public school, our children are taught through secular humanism that he doesn't even exist. Now, because of many decades of improper court decisions, problems which otherwise were nearly unheard of when it comes to moral and social issues prior to 1950, they are on the rise. The church in part is paying the price for that. Some of what is being taught, or better yet, not taught in Sunday school or in the pulpit, may be contributing to that problem. I'll briefly discuss three of the main points for this belief. First, the churches themselves are closing their doors. Second, students, especially in secular schools, by that I mean public schools, including college, are often ridiculed for expressing any type of faith. Lastly, why is this happening and how do we curtail it? Statistic provided by a Barna study, showed that nearly 4,000 churches are at risk of closing their doors. Some of these closings may become a restart later, but the damage will have already been done and it will be hard to correct. These closings are caused by attrition, families moving out of the locale, or the church members just aging and dying off. A Pew Research study dated October 9th of this year, only a few days ago, in its headline stated, its headline statement declares 1 in 5 adults have no religious affiliation. It goes on to say 1/5 of the United States public and 1/3 of adults under 30 years of age are religiously unaffiliated today. Second one, Christophobia, a fear or disdain of Christ's principles or the very people who follow his teachings. This new phobia in school is the norm in many of our secular public schools, kindergarten through college. In an online article from the Baptist Press, commentator Chris Turner quotes David Limbaugh from his book, Persecution. Anti-Christian discrimination in our society is getting more blatant and more widespread every day. Turner quotes Limbaugh again when he writes of humanist educator Charles F. Potter, who wrote in 1929, "What can theistic Sunday schools meeting for an hour once a week and teaching only a fraction of the children do to stem the tide of a 5-day program of humanistic teaching? Remember, we reap what we sow." One example of this makes no sense. At Columbine High School, site of a tragic shooting, several thousand ceramic tiles were put up after the shootings, but a large number of them have been recently removed. They were the ones that had religious quotes or scripture verses on them. The reason? Too intimidating. The reasons this is happening are numerous. I will now point out a few. Pulpit teaching, Christian home, apologetics. What we are now referring to as Generation X and the millennials are having their faith challenged. Unfortunately, some of them are succumbing to the pressure because they can't answer why they believe what they do. James Dobson and Gary Bauer, in their book titled Children at Risk, write, and I quote, the humanistic value system has now become so the predominant way of thinking in most of the power centers of society. It has outstripped Christian precepts in universities, in the news media, in the entertainment industry, in the judiciary, in the federal bureaucracy, in business, medicine, law, psychology, sociology, in the arts, and in many public schools, and to be sure, in the halls of Congress. My opinion does not, end quote, my opinion does not vary from some leading apologists and pastors, Ravi Zacharias, Frank Turek, and Pastor John MacArthur. All agree we must not only teach our children what to believe, but why they believe and why it is a true historical fact. In concluding, whether or not the rise of the megachurch has anything to do with this phenomenon is debatable. It is a fact, though, that many churches, in order to grow or keep their doors open for that matter, may well have compromised expository, exegetical preaching. Parents must be vigilant of what their school boards are doing and what the Supreme Court and the Constitution have respectively allowed, made decisions on, or given the right to do by federal law. The church community as a whole must not allow as many as 4,000 churches to close this year or next, especially if it is for something that the church is neglecting to do. In many states, a high tax rate is paid or high tuitions paid to educate our children. They must not be ridiculed or reviled for their beliefs. The Bible teaches Christians to always be ready to give an answer. A problem as those opposing them are asking harder questions. Their faith is being challenged. They are in an environment, for the most part, void of Christian principles 30 plus hours a week. Christian parents should, as well as their knowledge allows, follow the words in Proverbs 22:6. We must also expect our pastors and Sunday school teachers to train up a child in the way he should go. Again, we reap what we sow. Thank you.